Hey guys, this is Thycompany here. Welcome everybody to another live stream. Today is August 27th, 2023. Welcome everybody to today's live stream. And we haven't done a live stream in forever, by the looks of it. I think it's been like, what, a few days at least? Let's see how long it's been. Oh man. Since back when we did the channel update, 12 days ago, man, 2 weeks. But yeah, guys, we're gonna do a live stream. I know Humane's been offline for a while right now, so I don't know what he's been doing. I've been trying to contact him, uh, but no answers, no responses. But anyway, today's episode, guys, is about the Thai companies. I got this neighbor kind of towards where my grandparents stay at, and I don't know. I've been trying to be friends with the guy. The guy kind of has a weird history. His family's a little off, I guess. But I know, but this is like years ago, so I don't even remember the exact origin story per se. But anyhow, we're kind of trying to be friends with the guy, and I was talking to the guy. Went over to the guy's house a few times, and I was like, "Oh, hey, what you up to? What you like to do? You got any hobbies? You work or whatever." So it turns out that what happened was this guy moved to the U.S. Uh, from overseas back in his early adolescence. And, he had kind of a rough time, I guess, acclimating to the US environment and culture and way of life, so to speak. And the guy basically, was by law forced into high school. And from my understanding, didn't really have a good time in high school. Didn't, and, like that commercial for, oh God, you know that, you know that commercial for that university that they used to do? That diner girl who was like driving around in circles. She's like, went to high school, didn't do great, so I needed more cash. And that ad that they used to have. Oh God, I gotta find the name of uh that girl, diner girl. Uh, Education Connection, I think was the name of the ad. Yeah, the Education Connection girl. I don't know if any of y'all remember this ad by chance. I think it was the girl. Yeah, she like was dressed up as like one of those roller diner girls. Kind of like what you see at Sonic's and what they used to have in fast food back in the day when you had the drive-in booths. The cars. I think it was back in the 50s when they had that. But anyhow, guy didn't do well in high school, right? And therefore, as a result, wasn't really able to get into good college and all that nonsense there be, in the U.S. system. So the guy over time, from my understanding, I don't know if he made friends there in high school or not. I'm not familiar with that. Never really bothered to ask the dude about it. But come to my realization, the guy, uh, I was starting being told about the guy kind of like over a few months that, hey, you be careful with this dude. He, is antisocial. He's, not good to be easy to make friends with and whatever. And I'm like, what do you mean? What's up? Oh, he doesn't know how to talk. He doesn't know how to do this and that. And so that basically, I started being told a bunch of rumors about a bunch of different people. And I was like, whatever. I don't, want to go and believe rumors. So I'm gonna go and just see for myself, what's going on, right? And so I went over to the guy's house. The guy has very long hair, wears glasses, kind of, that Harry Potter look, right? Uh, Guy doesn't uh, kind of fit the norm of what people would say. Yeah, Harry Potter long hair is what I'm thinking of. uh, Fit the norm of what you would say as a regular. No, I'm not looking for Snape and Hagrid. I'm looking for uh, Potter. But like, imagine Harry Potter when he had the longer hair and it's like more curly. I don't even know what movie this would have been. Harry Potter long hair, I guess. Anyhow, I'm kind of more like that, right? Kind of like you know, long to, bottom to your shoulders, I guess. Anyhow, come to later find out that this guy has like a messed up sleep schedule, that he sleeps during the day, games at night, and I'm thinking, well, that's not too abnormal because I know a bunch of people do that nowadays, and I used to do that kind of like back during the early years of of the Thycompany YouTube channel. And I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. But I don't know, because I didn't realize how severe it was. And turns out the dude sleeps from like freaking 7, 8 a.m. to like 11 at night. I'm like, whoa, this guy's got like over 8 hours of sleep every day. And the dude plays like your typical games, so which would be like a war game here and there, maybe some like what are your typical games like? I think Genshin Impact was one of them. I know the guy likes anime a lot as well. But by definition, if you know what a hikikomori is, those people, even though I think this exists in the U.S. to a certain degree, yeah, basically the dude's up in his room all the time, not going outside, and yeah, reads anime and whatever, and the dude basically falls underneath what I would call, uh, yeah, what they call it, modern hermits. I guess that's what you call it, the English name of it. So, I figured, alright, whatever. So let me try to be friends with this guy. So first thing I do, this is back during like a few years later, because I get to know him, his mom, and the whole situation. Um, I've been told by a few people that the mom's a little cuckoo, but I'm not gonna criticize it because I have my own opinion as to what may be going on. But anyhow, my next thought was like, all right, let's try to, hang out with the guy. So I start talking to the guy. It turns out the guy's a very big bicycle enthusiast. Like he likes to ride his bike, and we happen to have like a wooden area and kind of pretty decent bike route near where we live. Basically, yeah, in our area. And so I'm like, well, I don't ride a bike myself, but I don't mind, hanging out and going to the park and seeing, what's going on there. And he had this all kinds of like theories, like, oh, we're gonna go and start scooping dirt from the park because we're gonna, bring in that natural soil from the woods, so we have a garden in our place. And I'm like, okay, I can get that, I can get that. So I'm like, all right, so how are we gonna do this? You got a car, you got any buckets, shovels? And the dude like couldn't have any second thoughts or develop thoughts on that. And I'm like, all right, well, whatever. Maybe, later on we'll figure something out. And the guy never followed up on any of that. And I'm like, okay, so, and then, doesn't talk to me or whatever. And I'm thinking, all right, so what's the dude doing? And then I go to this guy's house. And next thing I know, this dude and his like mom built this whole freaking plantation in front of their, in the front yard of their place. And I'm like, what in the world's going on here? Because they got uh, basically food grown for the winter, right? So everything that you would think of in terms of canned, jarred vegetables. Because I don't, as far as I can tell, I don't believe they had any fruit growing. Um, Anyhow, they start growing this big plantation, and over time, it starts growing over and over, like more and more in size, basically. And I'm like, all right, so this guy's productive, And at that point in time, I also was running my car cleaning and detailing business, and I'm like, all right, well, let me see if I can. Maybe this guy would be interested in helping me out with a few jobs here and there for maybe a few clients. So eventually, I got him into helping me out with two different clients. I think the job took like 1 or 2 days, and we ended up doing one semi truck and one Honda Odyssey, I think. And during that time, the dude like was disappearing on me, and he couldn't figure out what. Like, hey, can you go and check the trunk of the car and see if there's any dust or lint left on the seats? Oh, what's the trunk? What is the trunk? I'm like, the back of the car. I don't know where that is. And so we started getting into these like, what do you call conflict of interest, where the guy was saying, oh, I don't know regular basic knowledge, or making claims that I don't know these average terms of things. I'm like, check the side door of the car, check the trunk, check the back seat, and he wouldn't know what I'm talking about, or play like he didn't know what I'm talking about, right? And I'm like, okay, okay. And I figured, well, let me show the guy, I'm gonna give him benefit of the doubt, because I'm thinking, is this guy playing tricks on me? What's going on? And so we go to the second client for the Honda Odyssey, right? And the dude jumps on the client's wall and just sits there on their wall, and it's this thin wall, and I'm like, thinking, what is this guy doing, jumping on people's strangers' walls and just sitting there laying and watching YouTube videos, right? And I'm like, what in the world's going on? So I end up cleaning the whole thing by myself, but because it's like late in the evening, and it's also toward winter time, so sun sets early during the winter. Um, I'm thinking, okay, we got to finish this job by tomorrow morning. So we finish the job, lady pays us, and I'm like, well, I got to pay the guy as well, because he's gonna complain to his mom, and then the mom's gonna come after me. I'm like, all right, so I'm not gonna cause no trouble. So I paid the guy, I think, for the job of the two, what we're working, his fair share, and then the dude disappears on me saying he don't want to work no more, and I figured, okay, this guy's got some issues with work. I ended up finding out later that the guy tried to, do some kind of work after high school. And what he ended up finding was working as like a warehouse employee. So that's basically like moving boxes around in a warehouse. And he did that for apparently like maybe a few months or up to a year, right before COVID started. And then once COVID started, the guy never did any work ever again in his life in terms of official job. And I'm like, that sounds weird, but I'm like, well, I know it happens, so I never really decided to criticize the guy or judge the guy. But then I'm like, hey, you want to try working here? You want to try working there? Hey, I'm about to start a job here. I can get you, part-time job here on this position, that position. And the guy had no interest whatsoever. And then the guy kind of starts, hiding from me, dodging my phone calls, not really wanting to answer. Or whenever we had a conversation, he would try to give these short, you know, finishing questions like, yeah, okay, whatever, yeah, no. Those kind of what I call outburst answers. And from there, uh, the dude started making up these fake excuses for why he can't do no work, why he can't do anything. And first, I'm being told that he hasn't worked in a while, and the guy doesn't really have much experience, so he needs like an entry level job to start, get the ball going, right? And I'm like, all right, cool, I can find you something like that. Hey, let's try this, try that. Oh, he can't do this because of the heavy labor and all this. I'm like, all right, cool, all right, I got you, because I'm thinking, well, in his physique, and I'm like, I can understand that. So what I do is for my next option, I'm like, all right, hey, I found you an office job. Your job basically is going to be kind of like a receptionist or an attendant, and you kind of greet people in the office, be like, hey, yo, how's it going? Hey, and occasionally, a person's like, hey, could you call somebody here or do this and that, or kind of like essentially a receptionist, right? And first, I'm being told, oh, Thigh, I found out that I'm sick. You know, I can't really be talking right now. And then he passes the phone off to his mom. Oh, hey, Thigh. And I'm not gonna, pretend to create a voice for this lady, but oh, he went to the doctor, and the doctor found out he has fibromyalgia. And I'm like, what? And I looked this up, and fibromyalgia is a very rare disease, and basically it's like your muscles and bones hurt and can't do anything, but it like contradicts what the guy's doing. And now the news story is that, oh, this guy's got depression because he sits and games on his computer all night. And because he has depression, he can't really do anything, and he's got to continue sitting and having this depression and further developing the depression. And I'm like, what in the world are y'all telling me about this guy? I'm like, all right, the dude doesn't want to work. I got you. I got you. But, how can you tell me one moment, the guy doesn't want to work, and then you start telling me, oh, Thigh, I found this job out in the middle of nowhere, 4 hours from where we live, as an automotive mechanic. I've never worked with did any car work ever in my life. I can't do any physical labor. But I'm gonna go and drive out 4.5 hours from my city, so I can be paid 20 or 25 bucks an hour to start working on cars because the high hourly pay rate. And I'm like, bro, how would you, that don't make no sense. You kind of contradicting yourself there. And I figured, all right, I ain't gonna mess with this guy. If he wants something done, I'm thinking he's capable of doing it. And then out of nowhere, that mom of this guy starts harassing all my neighbors. And she came over to my Turkish neighbors, and she was like, she came up to my Turkish neighbors, and they got this cat where the cat, from my understanding, was like a rescue cat, or basically was like belonged to the previous owners of a residence or something. And those, owners of the previous owners left, moved, or whatever, and they left the cat behind, and the cat became kind of basically taken in by my Turkish neighbors. So anyway, my neighbors, this other neighbor, the guy I'm talking about, his mom comes over, and he's like, "Y'all need to neuter that cat. Uh, that cat's been jumping on everything, and it annoys our cat. And because our cat's annoyed, our cat's scratching us." And I'm like, what in the world are y'all talking about? So it turns out what's been going on is that that neighbor's got like another cat, a female cat, and my Turkish neighbor's cat's a boy, and they think that that cat's attracted to the other cat and so on, and basically that cat's trying to get with that other cat, and they're afraid of all of a sudden there's going to be pregnant. Their cat's going to get pregnant, and there's going to be babies and whatever not, all that stress, right? And that cat, everybody's saying, oh, that cat's fine. He ain't crazy. He ain't gonna pounce on you. He's the nicest cat. He's never gonna scratch nobody, no bite nobody. And I'm like, all right, I get that. But his lady starts, making threats, and she calls freaking animal control over, and animal control, officers, which are basically like law enforcement officers, right? They go over there and they're like, oh, ma'am, whose cat is this? You know, did you did you all know about the nature of this call for all this kind of like bogus nonsense, right? And I'm like, why in the world are they causing this, stirring the pot up for no reason? And turns out this lady is bored, so to speak, and one theory discussed by one of my other neighbors is like, oh, she probably trying to find herself a man. She got nothing to do, and because she don't have a man, she going crazy. She got that baby fever. She wanted herself a child and that money from whatever man she finds. And I'm like, what in the world? Because this is all getting crazier out of the getting out of hand, right? And at this point, I'm like, well, why are y'all coming over here talking about we need to neuter and castrize this cat? And my Turkish neighbors were like, bro, she comes over here telling me that, oh, y'all gotta neuter my cat. I'm gonna tell her to go neuter her son. And I'm like, what? I'm like, bro, that's savage. Talking about go neuter your son. I'm like, bro. So anyway, I'm trying to figure out, what do I do with this kid, right? Because the kid's like, basically, he's an adult. He's in his early 20s, right? Try to help the kid out. And I'm thinking, all right, so the kid doesn't want to work in the office. He don't want to do no laborer's job, which I understand. But then, like, I'm sure the guy's interested in some kind of work, and will have to get into some kind of work eventually later down the line and in the future of time. Uh, so I've been trying to, teach the guy, but I just figured, this is kind of an interesting situation where y'all coming up with your own excuses, and I get somebody getting sick here and there, and but to me, it seems like this thing getting out of hand, right? So, what do y'all think, guys? Is this kind of a crazy story? Do y'all want to hear more about these weird stories? Maybe you want to hear more about some of my other neighbors. And of course, due to privacy, I ain't giving out no names and any too much details, because it's more or less meant to be a design for like a funny story, right? Because I want no hate targeted against anybody, right? So yeah, guys, if y'all like this video, make sure to subscribe And comment down below as well what you would like to see for future videos, any recommendations or any commentary. Let me know, guys. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to Thycompany, and we'll probably talk about some weird, crazy neighbors that we know of, some more crazy stories in the life of Thycompany. But yeah, guys, we're at, what were we at, like 683 subscribers last time I checked, right? 683. We're almost at 700, guys. I think we can get to we might be able to get to 700 by the end of the month if we're lucky, right? Because I know those shorts are starting to pick up, but we got